refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Razaban IFL TV proudly sponsored by Everlast with me, promoter Ben Shalom. Ben, first night in Birmingham. I know you've been Coventry before, but first big night in Birmingham. Let's talk.
You know what? I didn't, obviously Buatsi's not from Birmingham, but the rest of the card was. But for the first night in Birmingham, the tickets sold and the way it went was incredible. We will be back here 3 times a year. Obviously a lot of fighters from the Midlands now, and Tyler Denny was a great fight. Casey Benjamin obviously will feel gutted, but fair play to Sean McComb, was a great fight as well. And Ben Whittaker, who's the reason really, if we're honest, why we're in Birmingham, we think he's going to be headlining this arena within 12 months. Just showed us why everyone is so excited about him. Absolute star, someone that probably can take British boxing on. With a lot of pay-per-view stars coming to the end of their career, it's nice to see a couple coming through. Obviously we've been talking a lot about Adam Azim and Caroline Dubois. Ben Whittaker got his injury. Feels like a new signing, but that was pretty special, and it's incredible, and the reaction he gets from the crowd, and there's not many fighters that can perform like that, not that I've seen. I mean, you're thinking back to Naz, and you're thinking about to guys that can really perform, but he's an elite level talent as well. I spoke to Jordan Grant, who's a very solid fighter. He makes good fighters look extremely average. I mean, Jordan Grant went 10 rounds with, or 8 rounds with Aaron McKenna, who's experienced, 15 fights in, and it just shows the level of Ben Whittaker that he can make him look like that.
Yeah, I spoke to Johnny Nelson then, and Johnny said, look, I remember that night very well in New York when Naz fought Kevin Kelly, and it was a similar type of a ring walkout. When I spoke to Sugar Hill, I said, Sugar, do you like that? Do you enjoy that? He said, look, I like Ben to be who he is. I don't want to change that, but there has to come a time sometimes, especially when you step up, that you can't do a lot of that in the ring.
There is, but Sugar understands, and a lot of trainers don't, but Sugar understands this is about entertainment. And so they'll train, and Joby Clayton as well will train for entertainment. And I hope other trainers can see that. It's not just about getting through and winning a fight. It's about entertaining, and because he does entertain, his career is going to be huge. And he's with the right trainer, in my opinion, Sugar, that understands that, of course, as he goes through the levels. But to still take that guy, to take Jordan on in your 3rd fight and do that, shows a remarkable talent, an incredible talent, and I hope he can carry it forward. I know some people won't like it, but if you're turning on boxing for the first time and seeing him, you're going to be attracted to the sport, and he knows that, and he feels like he has a duty to perform and a duty to do what boxing needs. And it's always been the entertainers that have carried the sport, and he's a future superstar, the likes of which we've not seen before. And for this generation, extremely important. 25 years old, young light heavyweight in an unbelievable division. And he's like a duck to water with the professional game, and we'll be back a few times, I think, and building him in Birmingham, and can't wait to see him be headlining shows, and incredible talent.
Are you going to have similar problems that you have with Adam and Caroline in trying to match him? Is he going to have to almost fast track to get him closer to that British level quicker than you probably like?
We said that as soon as the problem is, it's a humiliation as well. It is a humiliation for the opponent at times, and so to get British guys, have we seen with Adam Azim and the how quickly he's moving, it is going to be difficult, and tonight would have made it even more difficult. But what more do we want? That is entertainment, and anyone that criticises it, I don't understand, in the sense he's supremely talented, he's very respectful after the fight, very respectful, and he wants to entertain, and he cares about that, and I think we should encourage that more. We always talk about boxing and looking at UFC and WWE and even crossover boxing and thinking the professional fighters need to take a leaf out of that book. He does it better than anyone. He does, and in his 3rd fight, there's not many. You look at Eubank Jr. now, and you look at what a star he's become, and you look at how charismatic, and he's almost in a box office fight every time. He wasn't like that after 3 fights. This guy's a born performer, and yeah, special talent. Yes, going to be hard to match, but that's because he's that good, and it's a good problem to have.
Lauren Price setting history here tonight, becoming the first woman to ever win the British title. So just quick word on her.
She could fight for a world title next. She's that good. It was levels above. It was just a one-sided absolute shutout. Kirsty Babington came, wanted to give it everything, but yeah, it's a special talent, and she's going to have to be fighting for world title soon because she's at that level. She's one of the most talented fighters in this country, and she'll be a multi-weight world champion. And yeah, special moment for boxing, a British title like that, and she did extremely well. Extremely talented fighter, and yeah, really happy for her because she's over the moon with it. And fair play to Kirsty Babington because it was a special moment for her as well.
Joshua Buatsi, one of your major signings this year. I think there were obvious signs that you could clearly see that he's been out of the ring for a period of time longer than anyone would have liked.
Look, it was a dominant display, but it was passive. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't the statement that we wanted. He'll know that. He'll be as disappointed as anyone. But it was 10 rounds after a long time out of the ring, and for us it was always about what's next, and it was the same with Lawrence Okoli, and now he's fighting Billy Smith in a sold-out stadium on May 27th. And for us, we signed Joshua Buatsi because the division is on fire, because there's huge fights to make, and we had to get through this one. And yes, of course we wanted the statement and the aggression, but it's about what's next. And now we can, the cobwebs are off and we're straight into the big fights, and that's what fans need to be excited about, and that's what he needs to focus on. And Lawrence has shown, as soon as he got out of the ring that night, he was on to me 5 days later, I need a big fight. And now he goes to a stadium, in someone else's territory for a world title, and I think Buatsi is going to be very similar.
Are you able to give me 2 or 3 names that potentially could be Buatsi's next opponent?
Look, for me, Anthony Yarde is the fight that we want. It's the fight that we would take next, and it's the fight that we think we can make. Obviously, Dan Aziz is an obvious fight as well, and so Aziz, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yarde, that'll be next, and it'll be very quick. This is about big fights now for Joshua Buatsi. Yes, didn't get the statement, but he was against a very, very tough guy, and I know his trainer will be happy he got the rounds. I know that's what he wanted, and that might have been part of it.
Just quickly, a couple of other things outside of this. I spoke to Derek Chisora. He was running riot in the backstage singing God Save the King, not the Queen, the King.
It, He's so patriotic. I've never seen anything like it. It's good.
I've asked him just some details about this Saudi event that they're doing towards the end of the year, and some of the figures he said to me, he goes, we're looking at 150 million for, he didn't say each fighter, but for the fighters. Huge money that Saudi are investing in boxing. Huge,
but again, I was so excited about AJ Fury and Usyk, and so was everyone in Usyk Fury as well. We want to see the big fights, but we don't want to just talk about them. It would be great to see it happen. I hope it doesn't impact activity. I hope we still see Fury fight in July, as we do Anthony Joshua, and then of course it would be unbelievable for boxing if it happens. Just finally, next one, Bournemouth Football Stadium, sold out. Yeah, hell of an event. Yeah, 3 sellouts coming up. Coley Billy Smith has been ridiculous. Wild Chamberlain, Pickford, Eggington on there. Adam Azim and York Hall sold out in minutes, really. McKenna Thompson, which is a huge cheap support for us, and 2 guys that we think have big futures, putting it all on the line. Callum Simpson will be back. And then we're into Eubank Smith and Marshall Cruz. So 3 massive events coming up, and we'll see what happens with Buatsi the next week or so. Ben, always a pleasure. Thank you for all your time this week. Yeah, roll on Bournemouth, and see you on the beach. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Ben Shalom, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt wins. Right, the bouncer's guilt wins.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,